All right. So Crocker's gonna spark up the YouTube stream. Everybody should get in here.
Okay.
This document's been posted in one of our announcement channels. I think UH Strategy.
That's on now.
All right. All right. So new season starts tomorrow. Hope everyone's excited and been, taking a look at all the prep we've been posted. Tons of information out there for the start of a tier. A lot of it we already know. So a lot of it is just reminders and just kind of making sure that we're optimizing um, each other, playing efficiently within the guild. So, first 2 weeks, we're going to have that extra day on Monday, same times that we usually raid 10 to 1. So it gives us 12-hour weeks for the first 2 weeks, which allows us to, get those splits done and push a little bit harder on Mythic for the first 2 weeks. So our goal is to really just go after tier. So I've been kind of thinking about this a lot, and I just even right now I kind of made some last minute changes, but we are going to do 6 out of 8 normal for the first split, and then 3 out of 8 heroic with that same group. And then split two should be kind of already logged out there with their tunes. We're probably going to try to get on early with split two and make the group so that we could just be quick about everything. So if you can get on before raid and get your second split tune in split two, that would be very helpful so that we could move at a pretty good pace here. Um, again, normal loot, I know the trinkets and stuff are going to be good, but the normal loot overall is just going to be, trash compared to us doing M plus, getting 311, and even just the end bosses heroic and trying to get in mythic as soon as we can. We'll have to see how easy that lair boss is, but there's, a good chance that we could probably get like 2 to 3 mythic bosses down the first week. And that's going to open up quite a bit of a vault for us, more item level. Um, So the first day, Tuesday, we should be able to kind of do both these splits, and we might even have some extra time to either go back in and do the last two bosses on normal for one of the splits. But we'll just kind of see, how efficient we are. We are only playing 3 hours, so we will have to move pretty quick to get all this done in one night. If we don't, Wednesday we'll definitely finish up the splits, and it will give us time to kind of see where we need to move people around so that we could optimize that last boss, dropping 3 curios, and again taking a look at everybody's vault. That kind of leads in. I'm kind of a little bit going out of order here. I probably could have ordered this better. Nobody should touch their vault at all on their mains tomorrow. Do not open it because you're going to get yourself a +2 key, and even if you don't have tier, you should just wait. Um, to optimize, I'm gonna kind of go down here a little bit to optimize that. The key thing. There's a few ways. There are two things that people could do. You could have a team of like 4 alts, one main. Take that person with their main, level their key up to like a 10, and then everybody swap over to their mains and do that key, and then you guys will all get a 10. You could also just fill your bags up. Now, people are saying you could turn off auto loot. That doesn't work anymore. As soon as you complete a key, it's going to give you a key in your bags, regardless if you loot it or not. So the only way to go around that is to just fill your bags up with like blacksmith hammers or anything, so that you cannot loot the key. Get one person to a 2, or get one person to a 10, and then once you're doing that 10, that's where you want to make sure you loot the vault to get that 10 key on your tune. You guys will have multiple 10 keys there, allowing you to get 2K as quick as possible. The goal for the first few days for M pluses should be trying to get 2K as quick and as efficient as possible. And anybody that needs help with it, maybe on Wednesday or Thursday, should be aggressively trying to get themselves in groups, reaching out to officers or reaching out to the guild to help get that done. There will definitely be a few groups of players that will be more than happy to help you, achieve that. We have the M plus groups that we made as well. You guys have had those channels and have had chance to interact and get your scheduling going with that. You know, A lot of times, not the full group is sometimes available. So even if 3 or 4 of you guys are available and you guys could get on and pull a couple people in, that's still super efficient. I'm gonna go back up here to talk a little bit more about our splits. So yeah, Tuesday we're doing um, just all the tier bosses that we can. I'm pretty sure we could actually probably go higher than 3 out of 8. The reason we're not is because it's more beneficial for us if we're able to clear more mythic bosses than we are to do any more of those splits, unless we were able to do last boss splits, which is pretty difficult for a guild like us with just the alt capability we have. Looks a little different this tier. We definitely looks like we have some stronger players playing alts and such, but just for time and trying to stay within our 3 hours a night, we're just going to do 3 out of 8. Basic stuff here. Make sure you're keeping your tune min maxed. You know, a lot of that is just kind of following this Larius guide, asking officers, talking within the team, really trying to be efficient with your upgrades and getting the max item level you can at the end of each week as possible. People who happen to be like on standby still need to be following these requirements. If we're going to be pulling people in, we're going to be pulling in the most available, most prepared person. Add-ons that we're going to be using this tier, there's one that's pretty new that you guys probably don't have yet. It's the WoW Utils add-on. This is requiring this because it allows us to make better loot decision. It also allows us to see your crest, what's in your vault, so we don't necessarily have to ask for everyone to send us a picture. And if you pick something from your vault, it also lets us track that so we can know what you picked and just put that on the loot sheet. So this is an add-on that we're requiring this tier from everybody. You can find it on your favorite add-on site called WoW Utils. Well, this kind of links in with Visarios and just gives us more information here in our group hub. Um,
Is that the one that says beta on it?
Yeah.
Here's an example of what it looks like here for the vault for some people who already have it. Jam, she chose this piece here, and it gives us like a nice screenshot of what everyone has and like what they filled out. So, uh, little nicer than just kind of always trying to chase people down for a screenshot or another step that you have to remember to do. Um, Psychic Sheets for RCLC Loot Council. This is another add-on. We're asking you guys to download this tier. This is an add-on we've been working on for like the past 2 years. It's does some similar stuff with Visarios, but it kind of more custom to like what we're looking for. All the stuff that Psychic Sheets reads from is all from trusted sources. It's either from like your IC Vein guides or BIS lists from there or Wowhead. Also, as the tier grows on, it will start reading off of Archon. So this is not something that we made in a sense. We made a plugin to help us manage loot easier, but the source that it reads from is known and trusted sources. Basic stuff that you guys should be doing, the start of the month for every tier is just sending your character correctly, reviewing basic information in logs. Can't tell you how many times I pulled up somebody's logs and just compared cast and seen some obvious, errors. Don't let me catch that. Try to catch that yourself before I do. Um, Staying up to date with your class and spec, pretty basic stuff. I'm not sure if this macro is up to date. I'm gonna double check this for you guys. There might be a new one here, but this is pretty useful to have these type of macros where it just goes through all the DPS potions. So if you run out of cauldron potions and you still have some extras in your bags, even like rank 2 ones, it'll start to use that. Same with the healing potions. There's some other stuff here that doesn't really matter to majority of you guys, just specific classes. Let me give you a quick little going back to the sim stuff here. someone delete my picture? All right, so Visarios, when we ask you to enter your Sims, you're going to go to your group page, kind of look like this. This is like the, the group hub. You would click on loot, and you're going to see here like what Sims we're requesting from you guys. So like right now, we're asking for 6 out of 6 normal, 3 out of 6 heroic, and 3 out of 6 M plus. I'm probably going to change this to 6 out of 6, but for the first week, this is probably the only thing that we care about as far as item level, because that's what people are going to be getting. You know, you might have some crest to upgrade that, cool, but this gives us a little bit more accurate data. And then Stike Sheets is very simple, same thing. It's going to ask you, so you'll go to stykesheets.com, you'll log in with your bnet, you'll click on my dashboard, and there's going to be sim request here for your tunes. You just ignore the tunes that you're not going to bid sims for. So like I would only put the same sim request that we put in WoW utils. We're going to match these up so they're the same thing. So right now this is saying mythic 6 out of 6, normal 6 out of 6. I'll match up WoW utils to say the same thing, so you guys don't have to be running, multiple different sims. We'll probably only care truly
Well,
about
that's
two
what it looks like.
sims.
You've already successfully submitted the heroic in that view. That's what that check
Yeah.
mark is.
Yep. So you just paste your Droptimizer here on both of them. So this is going to be the same link for both, and that will help us keep track of things and also make sure that we're trying to prio that loot correctly. A lot of these decisions from both these websites are just going off of like Icy Veins best in slot guides, and it lets us look at certain data. Like here's an example. Let's see if I can. It doesn't want to show it for some reason. I don't know. Something changed. Okay, well, once the sims get filled out, we can hover over an item, and it's pretty cool. Like even in game, we could do this, and it will show us, hey, this is like your third or fourth best option. You have like 3 other options that are better than this, where maybe this is the best option for another class or spec. So that lets us really help us optimize loot correctly, and we're not giving a piece to somebody that they're going to replace that in like a week. Right now, the first week, everybody's going to replace pretty much all the gear they're getting. Again, we're doing these splits purely to get tier week 1 as fast as possible, and we even want people to hold off on running LFR, um, so that we could possibly split that to finish out some last minute tier pieces. If we kind of do the math and we're looking at what we got for the team, and we could see that we could optimize a few more by just splitting LFR. So try not to run LFR till Wednesday till we get the AOK from us on your mains. Splits too possibly, just so you could help drop loot for people's mains. I know it's a lot to ask for the first week, but we're a raid team. We're looking to do all this to benefit each other quickly.
Yeah, you can essentially be thinking about like LFR and your first week of Vault. Those are like your bad RNG protectors, right? If we get really bad RNG in the raid for tokens or drops, right? There's a couple of tier classes that have more people than others, right? We've all seen that a few times where a certain tier uh, token gets, bad luck. So hopefully, we can then, have people choose from their great vault uh, and do LFR to offset that bad luck. Just so you guys understand that that's the logic there.
This is a quick glance at our splits. Splits 1, these have been posted already. Everybody should know which split they're in, but I'll make sure I post this again somewhere for us. Split 1, and then split 2. And the mains are highlighted. So that's how you know who's a main and kind of who's an alt, and where you'll stand at, getting prio gear. So kind of have a more advanced view in our planning hub too. If we look at our setups here, we could see, we already have CDs done and everything for, I mean, it's just normal. these CDs aren't going to be too serious. It was just something that was easy to import pretty quick. But yeah, this will be split 1, split 2. So if you see a tune that's in these splits that shouldn't be, you need to kind of talk to me about it before tomorrow. So I'll post a screenshot somewhere in Discord. Thing is, it's kind of hard to get a good screenshot of this page. So let's see if I can do that.
I mean, I took a glance at all the eye levels, and it seemed like they're all tunes that have been played, so
I'll post this in
should be
UH
good.
roster so people can kind of get a bigger picture of that. They can look on their own a little bit and just kind of double check. For pretty much, I think that's all I have to go over for our splits plan and what people should be doing. Again, just a reminder: do not touch your vaults. Let us know you got tier. If you have that add-on, you won't even have to let us know. We're gonna be able to read it. You're free to spend any champion and below crest at any time. Wait on LFR, please. I know people are going to be hungry to try to get tier pieces right away, but you're not really helping the process of speeding it up for everybody, even including yourself. Okay. Complete your Spark crest. Let's see. I want to talk a little bit more about here. I think this information is still true. If anybody here has been paying more attention to crest, they could kind of, speak up, make a correction here. But you're good to go to craft, your mythic items for 80 myth crests. That's definitely going to be, the best way to upgrade an item efficiently is your crafts. I think you save quite a few crests by upgrading. So I think everybody should be considering crafting right off the bat. And then if you're lucky enough to get a mythic piece, you could pump the rest of the crest into that. Another thing too that we want to talk about here, Lair bus loot sucks for most people besides Incasters. So we're probably not going to split this boss on normal. The Incasters could really try to convince me, but we're probably going to do it only on heroic. And even when I was listening in Consequence, there's some of their guys where, well, can I bring an alt or something because I don't want to open up my box? You know, if it makes sense, we'll allow it, as long as we're not like replacing it with the rat. But since we're probably going to do heroic splits anyway, it should be fine. Maybe that's more of a conversation we have for Mythic. People maybe might not want to even kill this boss on Mythic. We could see how many people that is and definitely try to move it around. Just know that if that's a thing, and I think realistically, the most we get down first week is probably 3 mythic bosses. If some miracle we get 4 bosses down, then one of those will probably be the lair boss, and you will screw yourself big time by not getting that kill, sitting yourself for it because you didn't want to open up the box. Well, now you also just missed out on possibility of having 2 mythic item levels in there. All right. Anything else we need to touch up on Slikey Sheets before we kind of move into the boss portion? I think we
Nope.
kind of covered it. It's pretty simple.
When do
Yeah,
you
if
want
it-
the Sims uploaded? I may have missed that. Is
I'll
that
ping you guys tomorrow, but
Okay.
sometime tomorrow before raid. So I would wait. I wouldn't put in any Sims right now until
Yeah, the
mid-afternoon
important
tomorrow.
that's I mean the answer to that question is more like, right, we have to like, you might want to wait for tuning before your sim. And then the other thing is, don't submit your sim until you got all your right gems in chance where you want them, right? You're fully optimized. Right? Sim is no good until your your sim is in a state to like you're right before raid. So
Yes.
if you're in that state and it's like a couple days before raid, then you can submit your sim. But if you're not in that state, then wait until you're in that state. That's kind of the rule on that.
All right. So I know we went over this yesterday in depth with the tanks and healers. We're not going to spend that much time on these bosses now, but we definitely want to just kind of give people the general idea of our strat, what we're going to do. So I'll be going over these, and Crocker will be talking about them as well. So we'll go over the first boss, and this one we want to pay
Hold on.
attention.
I will just want to stop you real quick before you go on to this. just want to make sure if anyone has any other questions on that housekeeping stuff that Trickster just went over, any of that.
Yeah, if you guys got questions about splits or what to do first week,
For the
Cool.
WoW util stuff, do we need the bridge for what you guys want or no?
nah, you just need the add-on.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have the bridge, and I'll be logging in every day, and your information
doesn't-
gets.
I don't think it hurts, right? But it's not required.
Yeah, I think it keeps it as a live sync rather than just on logout.
Yeah, I would say no for now, and if there's somebody that's like super online a lot, then I might have them download it. Just don't want data to get, messed up. I don't think it will. Talking to Visara myself, he said multiple people can have the bridge app, should be fine.
Okay.
All right, any other questions about the stuff we just went over? Any questions related to splits? Yeah, just one thing I'm just gonna kind of touch up on that. We have a 35-man roster. Only 30 of us could get into heroic. So once it comes time to merge down to that, a lot of it is already decided. People join the team late. People we might be overclassed. It just kind of depends on that. I wouldn't sweat too much if you're one of the 5 that gets set. I plan on doing something this weekend with alts to try to get another heroic kill with my alt and a few other people. So we'll probably run like a 15-man ish, maybe 20-man ish run on the weekend with alts that are actually going to be played and geared, something that you want to play all tier. My goal with this is to get back into boosting with this guild early on. So I'm probably going to be keeping up a second 2 in this tier for purposes of that sort. Boosting heroic is going to be quite profitable this tier, and I definitely want to get us back into the boosting game. And that's going to be one of the ways to do it, is just having a second toon ready to go and ready to run and farm heroic by like week 2. All right, move into the boss section here. Talk about the first boss here on Mythic. During the intermission, the biggest change here, if you guys haven't already learned about this boss, which would be quite disappointing if you guys haven't looked at these yet. There's going to be a Drowned Echo, very similar to KT, if anybody remembers that, where you assign a hit squad to go in. You're going to probably have 2 different hit squads. One will probably line nicely up with CDs. The other one might have to hold. We might have to look at timings and just make sure we put the right classes in there with CDs. You're going to have to kick something down there, and you're going to have to dodge quite a few mechanics. Let's see if I can get a picture of that. So look, they come outside the boss, and then they start going in clockwise direction. They got beams.
Okay, the melee, there's probably going to be a melee group of ads that the melee all group soak plus the tank, and then the range individual circles and need to take out other ads around the room.
Yeah, in case you're already not familiar with this boss, like the way the boss is gonna work, right? We got a couple ways ads are gonna come out. They're gonna come out when we drop puddles and we dispel. I believe ads will spawn from those circles. Maybe that's not right, but the tombs will shake. There will be one side that has like 4 tombs that shake and one side that had 3 tombs that shake. We're going to try to move the boss to the ones that have 4. The boss is already on the one that have 3. We're just going to stay there. And range has got to, mainly magic casters has got to try to get these ad shields off as soon as possible. So really your goal is as a caster is to probably focus mainly on the ones where the boss is not on. There's enough magic damage probably between majority of melee that's going to be there, DHs, DKs, whatever else we got that will be able to kind of break those shields down. But the shield on these ads only take magic damage. Once that's down, they'll stop fixating towards the boss. They could be tanked, and they could have regular physical damage on them. Essence Rend, you need to drop that to the edge of the room and wait for a dispel. Show you what that looks like here. It's going to take forever to load again, I think. Okay, so there you go. This guy had an Essence Rend. He ran out, and he got dispelled. Healers are going to really have to pay attention to the players with the arrows above their head or their raid frames, just identifying when the players run out and, get that dispel. I don't think I really want DPS to call out for dispels. I think I want healers to be actively watching for this when this mechanic comes out and happens. So, you guys just be ready for that. Making sure that if you press your dispel button and somebody else got it quicker than you, that you check to see if your dispel button is still available. It's not on CD, so you could get somebody else. Can't tell you how often I see that with healers in general, is you guys think you dispelled somebody, but somebody got there quicker, and now your dispel is up, and it's not being used again because you think it's on CD. So really make sure you identify to
Is
know
that
when
why it happens? Holy
your
shit.
dispel is off CD. Here's the shields on the right here. You break them, and then they stop going towards the middle, and they could be tanked. This is this fire soak. This is the melee one with the tanks here. Once that goes off, it immediately spreads out to the ones who didn't soak. And you'll see these guys here with these little fire circles. Okay, yeah, they're showing. You'll see other people with individual fire circles. You got to look for corpses and burn the bodies. This GIF right here is just showing the intermission phase.
Melee and healer out and go for the skeletons that are all around the place because that's
Okay, cool. Kind of go to the next boss here. So this is a two boss on different sides here. Yeah, Boomies are going to do good here. I think Warlocks and Shadow Priest at the start of the fight will be doing really good here too. Could probably dot up and do damage to both of them, like maybe during a Lusteration. I know things happen right off the bat on both sides, so you won't have much time to be like in the middle and do damage to both these guys. But ideally, we're going to take the red guy to the corner. Let me pull up a raid plan a little bit easier to talk about it. So we start off with the red guy in the corner and the green guy just on the side. The green guy is going to spawn these little blobs that need to be stepped on. The blobs, they'll fly back after the boss and into a line. So here's the ad spawn. And then you step on them, it creates this little line here that's going to go right towards the boss. So melee, got to pay attention to this because it's going to be, you kind of just want to be on the side that you don't see a lot of green blobs on because you're probably not going to be able to just pay attention and dodge these quick enough. Group soaks on the red side. You drop puddles after you do a soak, and people can't like stack these on top of each other, or else it spreads even more. So really try to make sure you're spreading out when you get these, and dropping them the best you can. There's gonna be the math game where you just try to pay attention to the green orbs. Sorry, going a little bit all over the place here. Let me get back. So here's what the icons actually will look like. You're really only going to get three type of icons. You'll get the one with 2 on it, the one with 1 green, or the one with 3 green. So you got to match it, 4 total. So if you have this
Case-
one,
In case people don't know, you can actually mouse wheel on the Discord screen to zoom in.
Yeah.
Pretty nifty when you're watching a presentation. Sorry, go ahead, Trix. I just want to let people know that.
hmm So I mean that's pretty basic. I think most of us understand that. And that's kind of that's pretty much it. I mean, there's some more to talk about more in depth. I think we've already covered that with the tanks and healers.
Well, the
Healers gotta dispel this blighted blood.
main thing is the intermission. You have so much. You don't. If you don't feel confident trying to get a number, just stand there and all you have
Yep,
to do.
true.
Because you have plenty of time.
Bosses
The
are immune.
intermission will not end until the bosses or every debuff has been cleared, whether it's been messed up or been cleared correctly, or until the cast ends. The cast is like a minute and a half cast.
Yep. So only focus is solving the puzzle. That's it. If you collapse
Damage
any
does
other
not matter there.
preparation, you guys will die. After each intermission, players go back to the same sides. The tanks swap which boss they are tanking, meaning you play on the same side, but with a different boss on each intermission. So they will swap. The bosses will swap, but the groups won't.
Yeah, like if green, like you see how green's going down on that video on the raid plan, be going to where red would be going.
Yeah, you're talking to the bosses though, not the group,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I'm not talking about the group.
Okay. Again, this stuff is all here for you guys to kind of go through more if you want to, go more in depth of it. But these first 2 bosses, we definitely want to try to put a good amount of, just watching other guilds get it done. These are the ones that we think we could kill, along with the lair boss. So we think we could kill 3 mythic bosses the first week. That would be pretty phenomenal if we can. That's kind of our goal, to get AOTC and to kill these 3 within the 12 hours that we're putting in for raid. So really make sure you're putting in a good amount of effort in those 3 bosses. Now, there could be a scenario where maybe the 3rd boss, instead of the lair boss being dead, is one of the bosses in here. And I think that would most likely be not explorers. Who did I say? Was it Svashnik?
But for the next boss, kill Sentinels is gonna be Lost Explorer.
What's the other direction you could go?
Vashnik. Vashnik would be
Vashnik.
boss because
Okay. Okay. So this is also the other boss that I think we have a good chance of being able to kill week 1. Maybe not.
oh wait, no, Scissorek is the boss that's after it goes Lost Explorers is before Scissor. So it would be Lost Explorer.
Well, no, I know there's like a
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. The start to the wings, one side is Lost Explorers, and the other side is Doom Sentinels on Mythic. Vashnik helps Doom Sentinel.
okay.
He's the boss
yeah.
that's at.
So Vashnik, yeah, Vashnik is the other boss that we think we might be able to kill week 1 as well. So let's go over that.
Lost Explorer. All the crap that goes.
Correct. So summons a totem around the 2 fountains that he empowers. These totems cast this wave of poison. Yeah, maybe we should probably watch a video for this one.
You need to get all the totems that it's closest to, and then do their special abilities. Now, the fire fountain, as you can see here, each ad is just going to do ticking damage. It's going to spawn 3 ads that do ticking damage, and they give you a dot when they die.
And these are the scariest ad sets out here. So these ads probably want to really try to kill as fast as possible. That could change.
So, as you can see, again, boss charges channels in the 2 closest fountain, large rate damage from the fountains that spawn ads. We just talked about that. Boss gains stacking buffs based on the fountains. We talked about that. The stacks empower the corresponding fountains, giving them ads more HP. So if you do the same fountain more than once, it's just gonna get harder and harder and harder. And so that is what the fire. This is everything. This is the fire fountain. Shadow fountain has 8 ads, an absorb shield for 100% of their HP, and swirlies around the ads when they die. So shadow's pretty easy to deal with. Blood, I think they buffed a lot in the last build. You're gonna have 1 ad. It's immune to CC. It's gonna split into 2 smaller ads when it dies, and the smaller ads will also split once more. So it's just an ad splitting, splitting, splitting. And then the mythic mechanic here.
I'm gonna pause again some more time just so we kind of talk about these ads. If anyone's got questions on them. The fire ads, they do a pulsing damage. The purple ads,
They put it out on you.
red ads multiply, and what do the purple ads do again? I think they're the easiest ones.
They're just a bunch of them, and they have like shield. They shoot like orbs.
Okay. Oh yeah, they shoot a bunch of orbs.
But the thing is, you put a hit squad on them, and you kind of just like a because they were sending somebody else. Like you just send people over that can slow them.
The group I watched, they sent a Havoc Demon Hunter and he soloed them on PTO.
Yeah, that can happen.
Yeah, so that's what we're thinking. We're just probably send like 1 or 2 classes on those. These blood ads are going to be the ones that we need to focus down the most as a raid because they'll keep multiplying. They're immune to CC.
Only multiply twice too.
Mm-hmm.
Go from 1 to 2 to.
These need to be hit by waves. So this is not in heroic, but the general idea here is you're gonna get waves, and then the waves need to hit the totems to despawn them. It's gonna target 6 players with circles, and they're gonna splash damage near you, shoot waves. The waves go across the whole room, so you can really snipe things from far away. And you need to get all the totems before they blow up. So that is that mechanic. That is the mythic mechanic. We'll see that in the video. And you can see here kind of what the strategy we're doing. Your first set of totems are going to be this area, second, third, but then you can have outliers. So keep that in mind. Also, when you're kiting the boss around, try to clear areas that you're leaving, so that range players don't have to not get uptime on the boss or try to snipe a totem from 50 yards away. So these are the catalysts. These are heavy raid-wide damage. They're single-player soaks, and these tend to spawn near players. We'll see that in the video. So these are all core mechanics of the fight, remember. And then adaptive infection. So this is going to do different things based on which fountains have been recently imbued. So fire is going to target players with a dispellable AoE that does ramping damage to the targeted player. Shadow is going to target 2 players with healing absorbs, and they drop swirlies while the absorbs persist. Blood is going to target 2 players with a massive heal absorb. Targets are immune to healing and leech HP from nearby players. So this is your Hungering Destroyer mechanic, and this is the one they buffed tremendously in the last build. So it's going to require externals, we think. So
Yeah, so we'll talk about that one for a second. You know, that's the one where the group you needed, like, you're gonna have somebody with a red circle, and you're gonna they're gonna try to move on top of you, and you're gonna just naturally try to move away from them, but that's not the right play. You're gonna need to help soak them so they can get rid of healing absorb, and most likely from the changes it did increase quite a bit. That, yeah, you need to rip a personal on that. Again, with most of these mechanics, you want to rip a personal probably towards the end of that debuff hitting you. But the middle of it, if you don't have a personal, you definitely need to call for an external, or just be ready to, rip some consumes. That is going to be a personal check mechanic. If you're not popping a personal there, or we don't have an external available for you, most likely going to die.
Right here, nuke 3. This is the strat, right? So we talked about all the core mechanics, and we can kind of walk through it here. So So the first thing you're gonna see is what you're gonna see in this
Okay.
VOD. You're gonna nuke the 3 fire adds together with healing CDs. We found this the most consistent in testing. Obviously, they could buff up the numbers, and this isn't possible. So you can see here, this is the wave mechanics. This would go after the totems if the totems were present, but you're kind of getting a little intro to the mechanic. Now the ads spawn, and notice the boss positioning, right? So right here, we are doing fire plus shadow with lust. So the boss is here to make sure that you're actually getting these two. If the boss is here, you get these two. So boss positioning is very, very important. So they're going to spawn the 2 fountains here. And now they're going to inch the boss over, and we're literally just going to group up, pop some healing CDs, kill them all at once, heal through the dot, and be done with it. Again, they can buff that up, and also without lust, it's way harder. These are the solo soaks that we were talking about, and these are the totems on the ground here. They're actually like blobs in testing, but they changed them to totems because the visual was kind of bad. So this is what people are looking to clear the waves. And you can see behind you, these are the shadow ads. So there was like a hit squad of boomkins and
We talked about that already.
So now people are pinging Sis. Remember when I said the Sis can kind of spawn far sometimes? Well, here's a situation of that. They're trying to clear.
So do people see how they're clearing these totems?
And they're trying to.
Everyone here understands how to clear these like totems
trying to clear
with these when you get
and
these
they're trying
stars. So you don't get this mechanic and think,
once
oh,
you go over, it's gonna clear
it's
all
my
this. That's
typical
one far
just get away
sometimes.
from the raid and kind of make a V. No, you're actually trying to aim at those blobs or totems now,
Here's a situation of that.
and you can see
They're
these
trying
things
to
get
clear.
cleared out.
And they're trying to clear. Once you go over, it's gonna clear all the cysts. Alright. And again, they're gonna go all the way across the room. You can see them keep going.
So if you're good and they're lined up, you could probably get 2 of them.
I think they got them all.
And it's kind of like almost like thinking about like a lariat too, because yeah, there's gonna be some of those things are gonna be super far from us, and you shouldn't try to run all the way over there if you are next to it. You just gotta aim it straight at it. I don't know if there's gonna be a visual, to see if you're actually hitting it like there was for Laria with the ads. We'll have to see.
Well, if you
Someone
also
get-
notice, it's like they all go in the same line, right? Everything's perpendicular to each other,
Mhm.
And we have
so
solo
it's not so
soaks again.
confusing with diagonals and stuff.
Bang. And now we're setting up for the second empowerment, okay? So the second empowerment here, we're gonna do fire plus blood. Now, with this one, we're gonna grip the fire adds one at a time. So another wave. He's imbuing. And you can see here the players with the healing absorbs. They're dropping pools. So you gotta get those absorbs off. They stop dropping pools. One. Burn it.
I just remember they started off doing fire shadow, right? So these fire ads, now that they've activated them the second time, are just going to be that much stronger.
They should grip the second one already.
And yeah, what their plan is to grip 2, kill those 2, and then grip the last one because these things do pulsing damage, right? We don't want all 3 of them on top of us right away. 1 or 2, killing that quick, and then killing the last one is probably the play.
I was testing only an hour, right? So 2
Or 1 at a time. See how they did it at 1 at a time here
and
in
3.
PTR as
And
well,
now what you're seeing
especially the
over here
first
is
week.
something
Like,
that you might not be able
if we're thinking of trying to kill this week 1, that's probably going to have to be the play for us. Is the second set of these fire ads are going to be super deadly. So yeah, just 1 at a time, killing them. Healers getting
to
ready.
do in live. So you'll see him turn. And this is actually a hit squad, so you can see here the mage is over there. This must be the mage. And a few other classes. The boomkin I think is there. Both mages, healer, are going over there and dealing with the fire ad. They're killing the fire ad and then killing the spawns of the fire ad. So everyone else is sitting here hitting the boss. There's a real chance on live you're gonna have to do the 3 ads way quicker and move over as a group to kill it. Because the health might be too high, or the boss DPS check might be too tight that you can't actually not be doing cleave when you're doing this mechanic. So that is what that was. And then again, we're pinging cysts that are far. That'll be a Tia totem in the future if you miss one, it's a wipe. Alright, so this is the one we just saw here. We grip.
Alright, I'm probably gonna, move on from this boss because we're gonna look more in depth when we get there. But I think the majority of us should have the idea of how this boss works, right? Wherever the boss is in between these 2 fountains, you're gonna activate it. Each fountain has got, different set of ads that we just have to deal with in a different ways, right? The fire ads, the blood ads, and the shadow ads. The shadow ads are probably the easiest to understand. It's just you send a class that could do a ton of AoE over there, just kill them up. They could be, I think they can't even be CC'd and slowed. They drop a ton of puddles and they die. Blood ads split off. You just got to kill like, I think like 5 ads at total or something like that. And then the fire ads. That's kind of the scariest one that applies the stacking debuff and does the pulsing damage. So you clear totems with your puddles. So this is just going to be a coordinated fight, of making sure that we have good hit squads and people understanding how to do proper prio damage during those ad times. So those 3 bosses, we spent a little bit of time on them because we really do think that these 3 are the ones that we could probably kill first week in Mythic. These next bosses, we're just going to kind of run through them a little quicker because we're going to be, focusing mainly just on heroic. In fact, I'm thinking I'm going to actually kind of work a little backwards here, and we're going to go to Coiled Altar because that is kind of a crazy fight, and a lot of talk about. The other ones, not too much. They're mechanics you've seen before. They're not crazy. So let's talk about this one.
Hey everyone, Marsh from Consequence here. We are going to go over Coiled Altar. So let me turn.
I'm not gonna watch this whole thing either. I know it's 23
off
minutes.
so you guys can
Kind of
read.
through here.
So this fight is definitely not going to be free on Heroic, I'll tell you that right now. So understanding the fight inside and out is going to become important. There's a few things that need to happen.
Basically, this is a fight that we will end up having to say people if we feel like you're not super caught up on how this fight works. This is a chaotic fight with a lot going on, a lot of individual responsibility, and if you don't really know what you're doing and you're causing us, wipes or holding back prog on here, it's just going to be easier for us to cut down instead of going over this with you. So if you're going to spend a lot of time on some heroic bosses, this one and obviously the last ones are the ones you really want to put a lot of effort into.
With your pre-raid setup,
We can't afford having people that have no clue what's going on for this fight.
Succeed. So there's 3 phase. Well, technically 3 phase of intermission that you need to deal with. So the first thing here, and there's 17 slides. Don't know we're gonna go over them all. So the first thing here is you are gonna have large acid puddles. These spawn on either side of the platform or on both sides of the platform. They get larger and larger and larger, and on the 4th cast, they'll cover the whole platform. So this is kind of like your enrage per phase, right? So it's going to make it harder and harder throughout the phase to handle the core mechanics. So next we have the concealed venom. All right. These are pulsing ray damage. And walking into it, you're gonna pick it up and you're gonna drop it after 5 seconds. When a venom is destroyed, it's going to apply a raid-wide stacking dot. But you do want to clear them. You can't let these get out of control. That's really, really important. And then a tank frontal is going to kill them. Alright, so this is going to be heroic testing, so it's not going to be perfect, and mythic testing is way too hard.
So talk about this real fast. What he just talked about. Pick up these green balls. It's going to be off tank and hunter's jobs most likely, and any other super mobile range. You pick up these green balls, and they're going to automatically expire. So this is something that's got to be done immediately. You can't control when you drop it. Run, you pick it up, and then after so long, it's going to drop. And then the tanks are going to do a frontal on these, and that's how they're going to destroy these. So if you look on the gift to the left and the look on the gift on the right, they go together. Pick up, expires, drops in a line, tank frontals.
This is my guild. As you pick them up, run in the middle, and drop them. This is just what it's going to be on heroic. Now mythic, there's definitely some aspects of this can get more complicated, but you can see this is the I don't know who that is, but you can see people are bringing them in. This is a hunter right here. So what we were doing is we were using 2 BM hunters and a 3rd tank to do it. Actually, I don't think we have 3 tanking on this test. Yeah, for the second test, I think we 3 tanked it. But we're just using 2 BM hunters, and then anyone else, the off tank or anyone close, is handling anything. Sorry, the off tank or anyone in the main group is handling anything close, while the BM hunters get all the far things. And all we're doing is pick him up, drop it in the middle, pick him up, drop it in the middle. So you can see here, drop. Now you got to be careful, right? So in this situation, we're using a gateway. I'm not sure if using a gateway is worth. This was a big discussion in my guild. It probably is if the gateway is dropped right before this cast, because what was happening to us is sometimes we would gate into one of these. This is a mechanic. He shoots out these Lura glaive things and they just spin around the room. Now the problem, as you can see here, when you're gating, is the spawns are like this. So there's one spawning in the middle. The first person who gates actually has it, which honestly might not be the end of the world because they can just move in the center. But it's something to keep in mind. And as you can see here, every time the tank frontal happens, it's going to clear. Now again, players in the group, they're picking it up, they're moving it over, and they're moving it over.
So yeah,
and
you
the
see, you have to
hunters
deal
are
with this the
moving it
whole
over,
fight.
and the hunters are in the back
Dropping
getting
these
all
orbs.
the hard ones. As you can see right here, the hunter is getting this one. All right, hunter.
Frontal's gonna happen
And
soon
that's just
here.
what we were doing. Obviously, any range can do this. All right. Go back here, and this is exactly what you're seeing. I can turn the camera back on, I guess. So
Want me to
this
see your
is what we
face, bro?
saw with the giant area denial. All right, and this is where we saw the gateway. Now, like I said, the gateway might be good. It might not be good. I think we'll probably use it on heroic. On mythic, again, it might be different. Or you can use a movement speed. So both options are good. Now, again, it's going to be the fangs, grab the balls, the guillotine, and it repeats until the phase 1 ends. So at the end of P1, all the active venoms explode that you haven't dealt with, which is why you need to be dealing with them. And so like there's good timings and bad timings, right? Because like what can happen and what was happening on testing was if we did a tank frontal, acid pools are encroaching, it's going to repeat, and every time those acid pools are going to get bigger and bigger. You can see this, the frontal, orbs, bring them in, and you can see the acid pools are encroaching. And then we're still gating. There's risk to that because you can see these people just walked and they were completely fine. And now we need to make a call, right? So like in this test, we didn't really like we only went an hour, but in theory, what should have happened here is we should have either moved balls to the middle. The tank goes maybe move here, and then we try to take out some of these balls. And what should have happened?
Yeah, I mean, so basically this looks like a white
You can
point
see
right
this
here,
the
right?
frontal.
Because so far they've been hitting their balls with the frontal
Orbs,
every
bring
time.
them in, and you can see the acid pools are encroaching.
Now they have to move though. They move because of guillotine, right?
And then we're still
We should
gating.
let that play out.
There's risk to that because you can see these people just walked and they were completely fine.
And see, probably what the
And
play should
now
have
we
been
need to make
here
a call, right?
when
And
you move
now
out from
we
this
need to
last
make a
guillotine
call, right?
is you, yeah, we needed to basically travel with these balls. I believe these balls probably all should have been picked up. They probably should have been, you know, put towards somewhere in this corner, and then the tank's frontal that way. So these guillotine moves, like that's going to be white points, right? That's really where we're going to see P1 wipes here, is not managing it correctly during the guillotine swaps.
Right. So like in this test, we
Looks
didn't
easy up until
really,
then, until
like,
you
we
run
only
into
went
that
an
kind of
hour.
overlap. And that's where
But
you're
in
going to.
theory, what
Yep.
should have happened here is we should have either moved balls to the middle. The tank goes maybe move here, and then we try to take out some of these balls, and then we let the debuff fall off. And
that's probably could have been another plan too, is, you know, instead of carrying them with you, we drop them off before we move, and we just know, you know, that side of the room's about to get frontaled.
then we push, right? So it might be a stop DPS situation, but what we did here is we just threw it off the side, and we said, okay, we're just gonna eat a 9 stack, which also might be fine. So what we did here could be doable. So we just ate a 9 stack, and you can see the damage a 9 stack is doing. It's not crazy, but you know, if you had 30 up in the room, you die. So keep that in mind. And what you're gonna see here, at the bottom, it's a little cut off. So if you're copying the raid plan,
Just something to think about, you know, especially like on Mythic. I know it's far away, but that's going to be like, you know, healers are going to have healing assignments. But if we're progging and you see a huge fuck up like that, like you just saw, you know, 6 stacks go off, yeah, time to send everything.
just move it up. But what's gonna happen is the intermission positioning is based off of where Zul'jin dies. Critical information for you. So this we didn't know until normal testing. I don't have a VOD of that where we killed the boss.
So basically, yeah, wherever this guy dies, he's going to spawn again in a later phase. And if it's out in fucking Egypt for us, you know, that's just a bunch of downtime that we lost for damage. So probably try to kill him in the middle is what he's recommending here. We'll go
That's
on.
because he'll sit there all the soul fighting right.
These ads, they're gonna chain cast. All right. So
So now
they
this is
need to be
P2.
kicked. Now watch when it kicks here. It's gonna jump. All right. So what it was doing, it was kind of jumping in a random location around itself, which makes like split cleave and classes who can cleave
All right, so
unbelievably insane in phase
might have skipped
2.
past what he talked about here, but basically P2
Around
is
itself,
just like P1 in a way.
around itself,
We got this ads that,
which makes
you know, they'll look at you. When you look at them, they'll stop moving, but if you're not looking at them, they'll chase you. And just kind of like the orbs, unfortunately, this won't be able to be assigned. This is going to be just, you know, this is where the individual mechanic know-how of this fight's going to really kick in. You know you got a spirit on you. You know that you got to kite it, you know, to one of the markers because we're stacking them up and we got to frontal them to kill them. And if you're just fucking, you know, you're bringing your spirit over here, you're doing that, you're not paying attention to that, you're going to get hard exposed in this fight. So warning now.
It's like split cleave and classes who can cleave unbelievably insane in phase 2. But we were kind of thinking maybe the ads should eventually get in the melee if you chain kick them. So we'll see how it works on live, but this is how it was working on testing. The other mechanic here is this MC. So you get in, and if you have a keen eye, you can see an arrow on someone, right? So these are the two people, the MCs, and they're actually really well positioned here because you want to be slightly behind the boss because you want to run through the boss for max cleave, right? And then you stun them onto the boss, and then you deal with them.
There you go. You're going to run towards the nearest edge when you get mind controlled. All right. So you determine, in a sense, where you got to position yourself to run through the boss like that.
Right.
If you're like over there
If
by
you're-
that gate, you're gonna walk like
You'll walk to the closest edge that you're at, and your guy will get to the edge, and he'll jump off, and you're out of the fight.
It's going to repeat. So you're going to have an add.
All right. Pay
We'll talk
attention
about
now.
it.
So
And then
let's
again,
just
it's
let's
gonna
take a look at this
right, and then
mechanic
you
that just
stun
got
them onto the
casted right
boss,
here.
and then you
Spirit Cackle. Look at these little orbs coming out.
deal with them.
Boom.
Right.
They're out.
And then again,
They're
it's gonna
fixated now.
repeat. So you're going to have it.
And you got to identify if you have one of these things on you. Let's see if we can see some gifts for it.
made them brighter too. Are you seeing? They were
Okay.
absolute.
Add. We'll talk about these in a second. You have an add. And then again, it's going to repeat. So on
All right. So Spirit Cackle not only spawns those
right?
spirits, does this green shoot thing right here. Call it the green piss. And pisses out a big ad.
It's going to repeat. So you're going to have an add.
In this
We'll talk
video,
about-
is he being chased by the ad that's purple on the left side there? Like a 9-10 block
Yes.
position? Okay.
Repeat. And then you
Yeah,
stun them
because you
onto the
actually
boss,
take a
and
look
then you
here.
deal with them. Alright?
His
He does, he
debuffs,
has the
you'll see
debuff.
that.
It
Yep.
teleports every time you kick it.
You'll see that. Yeah, you're talking about the spirit, the green ad. We're talking about the purple ad.
Purple ads
And
come
again,
out
it's gonna
whenever you
repeat. So you're going to have an add.
letter in.
We'll talk about these in a second. You have an add. And again, you need to kick it before the terror cast goes off. But again, like maybe on live, if you kick it enough, you'll show up in melee. But here we've just had to have our range swap. I mean, it's not ideal. But that might have to be. And we tried pulling the boss around, but there's some cons to that because of the ghost mechanic.
Yeah, for us, we're gonna definitely have like a quick little assignment, kick on that. It'll probably be something like maybe just by classes. But yeah, they're talking about just kicking it a bunch, where you assign like a kick order maybe, and you kick like 5 times, and maybe by the 5th kick it like gets to the group. Or you just send range on it, and then just have a milk kick rotation, so it's not moving around too much in case you're mid cash or something.
Which I'm going to talk about next. So we found it more consistent to just have range swap to the ads, at least on Heroic. Now, the animations are good. You also give everyone else a reaction time. Like
And he's just talking about the MC now. Let's go here.
Now, there's also going to be ghosts. All right, so I think he has one here. I don't know where it is though. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this is not going to be done super clean because it's testing, but I can kind of show you the idea. So the way these ghosts work is if you're looking at them,
I think he's gonna botch this, but it's basically red light, green light.
they do not move. Okay? If you're not looking at them, they chase you down. Very, very simple. Okay? Now, what we're doing in this video, and this is what we advise, is we think the best thing to do is to take the ghosts over here. Now, there's a reason for this, and I will show you why. It could be possible that you take the ghost to the left or right. That might be the better strategy. Middle theoretically can work as well, but it might be a little harder in practice. But again, we found it easiest to kite the ghost by not looking at them if they do. So we're talking about these ghosts. All right. Let's see. So with these ghosts, what you're going to do is you're going to not look at them, move them near this marker, like he's doing here. Okay, so he's actually doing this well. I take back everything I said. So what he's doing is he's looking to the side. He sees his ghost. It's in this frontal. He looks at it. He looks at it. He looks at it. He gets in the group and he looks at it, right? Because the ghost is always checking if your visual is looking at it, okay? So he moved it here, and while looking at it, he moved like this. Now, the tank frontal is going to remove the ghosts. Very important, because hitting the ghost is extremely, extremely bad. Now, what's going to happen... Oh, you know what? That actually might be a mythic mechanic. I'm losing my mind. So,
Thinking of if they get too...
in Mythic, it actually ping-pong you back and forth, and I'm getting the testings mixed up. So you can actually keep this very consistent. You can just leave the boss here the whole time, move the ghost in front, cleave him down, target adds, and then you're going to deal with the circles. Alright? So, that's what happens when you do Mythic testing. Or test something, mix it up. So, it should stay consistent, right? Bring ghost here, kill him. Now, this circle mechanic, this is going to cause 3 small adds to spawn that you have to pick up. I will repeat that again. Big circle spawns 3 adds. You have to soak, just like
Nexus King, I would say. Here's that mechanic right here. Pretty much just like Nexus King in a different format. You know, instead of looking at the line, you're just now chasing your little spirit down. And you probably want to try to follow the order that it came out in, so it's easier for you, right? You can see first one drop, second one drop, third one drop, right? You're going to go for that third one first. That first one's going to be speeding off. You're going to be running around doing this mechanic forever, you know, totally out of the fight. You get out of you get out of this mechanic by being quick at, you know, catching those guys. And if you saw, right, gonna kind of go back here, beat the VOD a little bit. Look at why we want to keep our ghosts on X. They come out the same time you get these gloom bombs, right? We're just gonna make the whole job harder for everybody for these mechanics if we're just not stacking in the middle, keeping our ghosts on X, spreading out, you know, to the sides with gloom bombs. Gives everybody, you know, plenty of room to do their ghost, and we're keeping it nice and clean. Right, so that's really just the goal of P2. Kill that interrupt dad, deal with your ghost, stack them up, deal with gloom bombs, and, you know, rinse and repeat until it gets to P3 or intermission, I believe.
So it should stay consistent, right? King, you get MC'd, take 2 steps back, get MC'd, get broken out. That is P2. Alright? We talked about the ad as well, which just needs to be targeted by range, which might
you'll get MC'd, right?
Oh, you get your ghost.
Oh, okay, so you just get gloom bomb. So, yep, getting MC'd, you know, kicking the ad, killing it, dealing with ghost chasing you, dealing with gloom bombs, and getting spirit. So kind of just got out of this presentation and we looked at P2. Now that we kind of know these mechanics, this is the MC. This is the kicking and killing the range ad, spreading out, getting your spirit. This is the frontal, I guess, right? Yeah. And then rinse and repeat. MC, dealing with spirits, dealing with gloom bomb, and frontal. Do that twice. We go to P3. Any questions?
kind of lame. I'm thinking it might come in the melee after like 2 or 3 kicks. So next you're going to get an intermission. This just repeats itself. P2 is like honestly super free.
Yeah, it's all free.
Now,
according to this guy.
With intermission, you don't really want to push with an add up you don't want to push with, well, let's pump the brakes. So there's a bug on PTR. Pushing with an add up, we don't know if it despawns or not, okay? Because what you're seeing here is we killed the boss, but the ad is still up. Now, this might have been a bug, so I'm assuming this is, it's not the greatest example, but we want to
Let's talk about P3 a little bit.
where you can get the maximum amount of funnel damage.
So
on the
P3,
Zul'jin.
he starts, right? The guy is bringing back Zul'jin. It would have been really nice, right, for the raid if he was just dead here for us so we didn't have to make this transition. Whatever, not a big deal. This guy's immune anyway during that. You just want to do as much damage as possible here. This is probably where we're going to lust. We got to make sure we have CDs, you know, potion, all that stuff. So, big damage into Zul'jin. At the same time, big raid healing's got to be going on too. Tanks help the raid by dealing damage. Okay. Yeah, this is the hardest hitting phase of the whole fight for healers. And it's the best burn for us because he takes increased damage. Okay. P3 now, I believe, just combines both phases together. And you just have to deal with all that.
And as I said, slow down 3%. There's no back and forth. There's a lot of moving orbs. In P2, if you find a normal VOD, you'll be able to see the P3 cadence. But P3 is basically both phases together, but slowed down a lot. So like in P1, it was a lot of moving back and forth. There's a lot of moving orbs. In P2, it was a lot of MCs, a lot of ads, a lot of ghosts. But now, there's no ads, except it's a 2-target burn till the end. All right? So, this is the guillotine. It's actually a group soak. I don't know if I mentioned that. But
look at all the orbs spread around.
What you're going to see here is you have the intermission. All right, we can just go back. Reconstruct, 2% every second. He also takes 100% increased damage, which is why Lust is so good.
Talking about
these are the
intermission
small
now.
ghosts. They give each pre-spread assignment of defense. All right, so that's the goal. And again, P3, we don't have.
So P3, yep, you're gonna have to grab balls, or have to deal with that guillotine right away, and then that's probably gonna be a super good gate location for us. The gate over to the other side, you know, balls will be in the middle, and we do a nice little frontal on them.
A lot of footage. Arms 3. There is also MCs that you have to deal with still. So again, positioning is very important. Where you want to position where you're going closest plat. With the ghosts here, it should be okay for you to go this way.
It's another thing too. I think during that transition, we'll probably see here in a video, but I think you're gonna get Gloom Bomb the same time Guillotine happens. So people who have that, you know, you're just gonna either have to gate and run really far out a little bit more, or you know, go to the possible sides, do your spirits, you know, frontal goes out, kill the orbs.
And we can kind of take a look because we did see maybe like a minute into the phase. So you, oh good, he gets it. So you're gonna have, please don't die. So you're gonna have a group soak. Damn. So he's gonna have to collect his ghosts. Yeah, he was at 1% health. That was unlucky. But you're gonna see here, you're gonna have people picking him up, and you see him putting in the middle. In the middle. So Mythic you can't. So this strat probably doesn't work on Mythic, but this.
Yeah. So. Yep. Pick up orbs, guillotine, gloom bombs. And then this is going to be the cleave. See, does it talk about Eternal Night here? Probably look into some better VODs for P3 when we kind of get some more, you know, better footage on it. But that's the majority of this fight. So really, first two phases probably aren't too bad. Intermission will be fun. And then this is just where it's really going to pick up P3. So just, get ready to combine these phases, combine these mechanics together, without the ads. We just have 2-target cleave the whole time. Mainly just a lot of individual mechanics here of, properly doing your gloom, helping pick up orbs if they're close, dropping them to the center, tanks getting that frontal off. Eternal Nightfall. I'm not sure what this is. Okay, yeah, I remember this now. See if he talks about it here.
As the MC sitting the ghost, so you need CCs assigned. Once they funnel in, you take them out in any orbs, and you repeat. So this is the cleanest strat we could come up with. It might not be the best strat, but it will probably get you a kill. Again, things you need to kind of be aware of. You need to have people who know what to do with the ball mechanic.
All right. That's that boss. That's gonna be kind of a doozer for us, but I think probably kill that one pretty quick now that we went over it like that. So if you have any questions on that, now's the time. If not, we'll kind of go through these other ones here. We, probably spend about another 20 minutes at most and try to wrap this up. All right. 2-target cleave fight. I think for these, instead of watching the Marsh guys, we'll just kind of go through them because, really just going to focus on doing these anyway on Heroic. For now, we'll get to them on Mythic, in a few weeks.
Hello everyone, this is Perky from the Guild Honolulu and you're watching Meta's Guide to Heroic Vashnik the Malignant. Before we begin, keep in mind that this is PTR footage, so...
We're going to run over this one. Thought I'd click Twin Fangs.
But before we begin, keep in mind that this is PTR footage and this boss has been heavily altered since, so some things you see on the screen won't make it to the live version. Twin Fangs is the 6th boss of the Venomous Abyss raid, with 1 phase and an intermission at 100 energy. The recommended comp is a standard 2 tanks, 4 healers and 14 DPS, and bringing specs that consistently hit 2 targets will make this fight a lot easier. You're fighting 2 bosses at the same time that do not share HP, and killing one before the other triggers Uncoiled Rat, which makes the surviving serpent gain...
And first mechanic you're going to see is a rage, is just kill these ads.
25% increased damage every 4 seconds.
Every time you kick them, I believe they move, so you kind of don't want to kick them.
So keep them even and kill them together.
What? They move, right? Or is that Mythic?
Ads are the one.
Together. Both bosses will also smack your raid hard if nobody's in melee range. The bosses cannot be moved together. Both bosses will also smack your raid hard if nobody's in melee
Dropping
range.
puddles.
The bosses cannot be moved, so the raid...
So the way these puddles drop, they're going to see the circles close in. I'm sure I'll talk about it. These circles close in on you, and then it drops a puddle. Probably best to use a defensive kind of right when the circle starts to get small.
Loosely spreads in the area where you pull, and you can use Hero right away. The core mechanic of this fight is called Eternal Venom. It's a small ticking dot that ramps up, and at 10 stacks you simply die. Getting hit by anything green in this fight gives you...
Learning how to manage this Eternal Venom debuff is kind of the key to the fight. There's going to be things in here that remove a stack and then give you a stack.
And some of it is unavoidable. As soon as you pull, the first ability is Caustic Deluge, cast on Vexul's tank. It damages the tank and increases damage taken from this ability by 10% for 90 seconds, forcing a tank swap once the stacks get too high. At the same time, a bunch of caustic globules spawn around the area and need to be soaked. Soaking one gives you a single stack of Eternal Venom. Leaving one alone means it explodes after 10 seconds and gives a stack to the entire raid instead. Yttras uses Stonebreaker, which spawns 3 white swirlies on the ground that explode one by one. This is a tank mechanic and each soak increases damage taken from it by 33% for 90 seconds. One gives...
So I know this is going a little fast, but these green
same time,
blobs drop every time you run over. It gives you a stack. I believe you could immune these. So it's going to be ideal for hunters, paladins, run over them with bubble, turtle.
Caustic globules spawn around the area and need to be soaked. Soaking one gives you a single stack of Eternal Venom. Leaving one alone means it explodes after 10 seconds and gives a stack to the entire raid instead. Yttras uses Stonebreaker, which spawns 3 white swirlies on the ground that explode one by one. This is a tank mechanic and each soak increases damage taken from it by 33% for 90 seconds. If a swirly hits nobody, the whole raid takes heavy damage and gets knocked back. Tanks simply alternate, soaking every other set. Vexul then casts Venomous Emergence, which gives everyone a stack of Eternal Venom, and spawns 3 serpents in the middle of the room. The serpents use Corrosive Spit on random players, and anyone else clipped by it also gains a stack. So kill the serpents as soon as possible and dodge the lines unless you're the one being targeted. Some players are then affected by Coiling Ichor, a red circle that deals heavy damage and drops a slowing puddle when it.
Yeah, I feel like I explained all those pretty quick, so we
Lastly,
can move
Itros
past
uses
that.
Ravenous Feast. This is a large red circle that explodes
And it's a group soak. Every time you soak one of these, you remove a stack.
3 times in quick succession, dealing massive damage that gets reduced by having multiple players soak it. Soaking also removes a stack of Eternal Venom, and this is the only stack removal in the fight. You can only remove 1 stack total, and Soaking gives you 800% increased damage taken debuff from this ability for 8 seconds, forcing alternating groups. Either make 3 groups of 7 or more players, or split into 2 groups and send immunities in for the last pop. Once this is done, the bosses repeat their ability loop one more time, and the second time you finish Ravenous Feast, the bosses submerge and change sides. This is the intermission. Vexul pops out in the middle and casts Vile Flood. This is a laser that rotates in the indicated direction shown by the spinning orbs around the boss.
Okay, so as intermission happens, you can see these orbs spinning. Whichever way the orbs are spinning is the way he's going to start beaming. So we just kind of run, like, kind of follow it, just like you do in Lyra.
Simply move in the opposite direction, so you cross the laser, and the spot where you crossed is already safe, since the laser won't spin a full circle. If you're
I'll say it one more time.
This is the intermission. Vexul pops out in the middle and casts Vile Flood. This is a laser that rotates in the indicated direction shown by the spinning orbs around the boss. Simply move in the opposite direction, so you cross the laser, and the spot where you crossed is already safe, since the laser won't spin a full circle. If your melees decide to rush ahead and hit Itras, they just need to be ready to dodge once the laser catches up to them. Getting hit gives Eternal Venom stacks in quick succession, which mostly leads to deaths. During this, the raid also has to dodge Sanguine Storm, which is just red circles on the ground that deal damage. When everything is done, both bosses reposition next to each other, and the entire fight repeats from there.
Alright. Pretty simple fight. We got 2 more here. Actually, just be able to quickly go over this one without too much of a VOD. Shit. Yeah, this is a little similar to Nexus King Dance that we did.
Zorak is the 5th boss of the Venomous Abyss raid with 1 phase and an intermission. The recommended comp is a standard 2 tanks, 4 healers and 14 DPS, but adding an extra healer can make this fight noticeably easier because the damage intake throughout the fight is pretty high. Hero should be used on pool, but feel free to experiment with using it during the intermission instead, since the boss takes 30% increased damage there. Just keep in mind he's essentially playing ping pong with your raid at that point. The raid constantly takes damage from Mulatek's presence, and each melee hit on the tank increases their physical damage taken by 3% through Corroding Venom. Before you pull, split your raid into 2 soak groups. It doesn't really matter who goes where, so a melee and a range split is a good start. Just make sure each group has at least 5 people soaking, otherwise the entire raid takes lethal damage. Also place the markers around the room as shown in the picture, you'll need those later. The soaking comes from an ability called Apex Predator, which happens pretty much right away on pull. This is a 5 attack combination made up of 2 Ravage casts.
The white ones tank soak solo. Green ones we soak as a raid.
5.
2 Mutilates and 1 Tempest. Ravage is a tank frontal that deals massive damage and makes anyone hit take 400% increased damage from it for 25 seconds, forcing a tank swap before the next one. Mutilate is the raid frontal. It splits its damage based on how many players soak it, and it applies a 22-second dot that increases damage taken from the next Mutilate by 500%, which is why you run 2 alternating groups. And lastly, there's Tempest, which sends out several tornadoes from the boss that roam around a bit, kind of like Lura Glaives, and deal massive damage to anyone they hit. These abilities come in a random order, and the cones are always aimed at the current tank.
See how these tornadoes are going to try to fuck us up during these soaks, so, you know, small movement here wins.
So the tanks just react to whatever is happening. It's best to tank the boss close to the edge, and take the tank frontals there, while the raid stands behind the boss in 2
That's
groups,
what we'll do too.
with the tank
We'll
alternating
put these
Mutilates
markers down,
between them.
being towards the edge
After
on each
every
quadrant.
Apex Predator combo, the boss casts Venomous Surge. This is a combination of 2 attacks. First, 2 players gain a debuff that deals heavy damage for 10 seconds, and on expiration, it hits the entire raid, reduced by distance. A vicious cyst then spawns at that location. To put it simply, if you walk into a cyst, the raid gets knocked back and becomes more resistant to the wind.
Yeah, so sure there's gonna be some kind of way we want to drop those cysts.
Drop them towards where the wind bit, and then it knocks you back and I get pushed into. You want the wind to push you to the one that's gonna knock you back towards the wind.
Okay, yep, that's correct. Yeah. So dropping these cysts like on markers is gonna be key. You don't want to just YOLO drop it anywhere. We kind of need those things during intermission to, yeah, that's what's gonna bounce us around.
You'll need this to survive the intermission, and you get 4 cysts before each one. You want to place those cysts at the markers opposite the wind tunnels that will blow during the intermission. There are 6 possible tunnel locations, and you get 3 wins per intermission, which means you have 1 extra cyst as a failsafe in case someone drops one at the wrong marker. The tunnels that will activate are marked with white orbs inside them, and the number of orbs tells you the order. 1 orb means first cast, 2 orbs second, 3 orbs third. The other half of Venomous Surge cast is Caustic Claws, which spawns a bunch of puddles in the area around the boss. Dodge those and move the boss to the next free slice of the room. The whole set finishes with Raging Crosswinds.
This is kind of a cool mechanic, so
Several
pay
players
attention
get
here.
a circle with an arrow pointing in a direction, and after a short delay, they get knocked into the air that way. All you need to do is make sure your arrow points at someone else's arrow, so that the two of you collide mid-air. The range of this is very generous, the size of the circle in fact. So don't try to pixel aim the arrows at each other, as long as the circle
Somebody
touches
took
the
somebody's
circle,
partner,
in
bro.
fact.
That's
So
crazy.
don't try to pixel aim
That's gonna happen.
the arrows.
Don't let
This
that
is
be
very
you.
generous.
You already see that there's a partner there. You got to go look for another one.
The size of the circle in fact.
And then you don't want to be a class that could like immune this. Like, I know if you death advance before that comes out, you're just gonna kill your partner. So everybody wants to like get this debuff.
So don't try to pixel aim the arrows at each other.
Don't do anything.
As long as the circle touch in the air, you're good. If you fail to hit anyone, you slowly drift in that direction, which may or may not end with you getting yeeted off the platform. One thing to remember, a lot of classes can prevent the knock-up entirely, but that can be very naughty, because you might just kill the player who had hopes of colliding with you. Once you've done 2 full sets of Apex Predator, Venomous Surge and Raging Crosswinds, the intermission begins. There's not much science here. The main thing is that everyone is pixel stacked in the middle of the room. The wind then blasts out of a tunnel, and you let it push you into a cyst on the opposite side. If placed correctly, that cyst knocks you right back towards the boss, and
Yeah, we'll probably have like someone try to trigger that, either be like one of the tanks or hunters, but we'll just kind of see where we're getting blown at,
makes you resistant to the wind, letting you keep
and then we just kind of wait, maybe like halfway through its cast, and then pop the cyst.
hitting him through the damage amp. If someone is not properly stacked, they risk getting blown off to the side and setting off a chain of very unpleasant events, like this clip for example.
Tornado!
And pixel stack middle.
Oh, don't pop in. I stop. Oh yeah, you.
No,
Idiot!
Repeat this until all 3
The
wins casts
fucking
are done,
bear.
then everyone moves towards the remaining cyst, and someone pops it. So all 4 are done.
No!
Yeah, that's gonna happen to us for sure.
There's gonna be so much clip farming here. Holy crap!
Stack middle.
No. Fucking great. Watching the fucking bear just slowly float into the death.
No!
Repeat
You
this
idiot!
until all 3 wins casts are done, then everyone moves towards the remaining cyst, and someone pops it. So all 4 are clear before it auto expires.
Okay, that's the fight, and then just probably rinse and repeat.
Oh, that
Alright.
fucking bear, dude.
Last one to talk about, the Explorers.
With one phase that shifts depending on which turtle is currently empowered. So things may look, feel, or sound different once it hits live servers. The Explorers are the 3rd boss of the Venomous Abyss raid, with one phase that shifts depending on which turtle is currently empowered. The recommended comp is a standard of 2 tanks, 4 healers and 14 DPS, but running a heavy cleave and multi-dot comp will make the fight significantly easier. Hero should be used on pull. You can have 2 bosses in cleave range, but if all 3 are together, they become immune to damage due to united defense. First, let's cover the abilities that happen throughout the fight regardless of who is empowered. First mate Nama shoots shells in the direction he's facing, dealing damage and stunning anyone hit for 4 seconds. So just move out of the way.
Those shells, when it comes to Mythic, they are baited on melee.
Melee he's facing, dealing
Melee and melee type healers. So something for Mythic, we're gonna definitely be trying to, control those.
damage and stunning anyone hit for 4 seconds. So just move out of the way. His melee attacks will also increase physical damage taken by 4% on his current tank with each hit. Scroll Sage Iku uses Blink Nova on a random player, teleporting to them and dealing heavy damage to that player and the raid, reduced by distance, so move at least 30 yards away from the group. She also casts Icebound Flames on random players for heavy damage and a 50% slow, but this one can be interrupted. Her current tank takes Shredding Shards, which increases damage taken from that ability by 50% per stack, so swap with the Nama tank once this starts to hurt. Raider Gebo just wanders around and doesn't need to be tanked. He occasionally drops boxes near players. Stepping on a box applies a stacking bleed for 8 seconds, but the boxes still have to be popped for 2 reasons. The first is the disgusting fish hiding inside one, which you need to interrupt Final Ascension. The second is Relic Rupture, a heavy raid-wide explosion that goes off if a box is left untouched for 25 seconds. Keep a few players on cleanup duty, ideally ones with high physical resistance or the ability to remove bleeds. Evoker Dispels and Racials are great for this. There's also a fourth boss in the room, called Morzahi, which you can't interact with directly. He deals permanent raid damage through Malevolent Presence and handles the important stuff. The main one is Final Ascension at 100 energy. If he ever reaches it, you wipe. To interrupt it and reset his energy to 0, you feed a fish to one of the 3 turtles. Doing so hits the raid with fishy feedback, then Morzahi casts his command on the turtle you fed, granting them their ultimate ability. First mate uses Mighty Tad, marking 3 players and then leaping to each one in distance order.
So the way we're probably gonna handle this mechanic here, we're just gonna line up basically, and from there we'll just kind of get knocked into each set. I think I put an example of that here somewhere.
Energy here. We did First Mate Nama. First Mate Nama's ability is a triple soak called Mighty Thud. So you're going to see here 3 players get a Mighty Thud debuff on them. It is a group soak, and it's going to knock back players' hit. So there's 2 ways to handle this. 1, split your raid into 3 groups, assign on markers or positions like left, middle, right, and just have the same set of people go to those soaks. The other thing you can do is what we're doing is we position them in a line, and we all get into the first one, boom, and we all get into the second one, boom, and we all get into the third one, boom.
Well, that's how we want to deal with that. Just a nice little line. And, if you could if some people kind of spread out because they're just there for the other back 2, that's fine. But the majority of us kind of want to be in the first one, and we just get knocked all the way back.
Order, closest first. This doesn't apply quick, so clear out after soaking. Iku uses Frostfire Volley as an aftershock puddle for 30 seconds, so clear out after soaking. Iku uses Frostfire Volley in 3 sets. It hits several players with fire and ice missiles that leave a large puddle and apply a 1-minute dot. The trick is that you remove your dot by walking into opposite puddle, which clears both the debuff and the puddle. But if you fail to remove it and the next set hits that same player with the opposite missile, it triggers Elemental Explosion.
So this tier, we're seeing a theme this tier, right? A lot of mechanics that are individual duo type of mechanics, right? You got your number game on the Sentinels boss. You got the win thing where you got to bounce into each other. You got this mechanic here where you're red and hot or cold and fire, and you drop puddles next to each other, and then you run into each other's puddles. So a lot of themes here of a very similar type of mechanic here that
which most likely wipes the raid. So clear your debuff before the second set every time. And finally, Trader Gebo, who has the coolest ability of the 3. It's a combination of 2, Mushroom Toss and Explosive Surprise. Explosive Surprise gives one player a bomb they can place anywhere, ideally at the edge, since it leaves a large shrinking puddle when it detonates. Mushroom Toss spawns a mushroom at a player's location. When the bomb goes off, it sends out a blast.
Bomb goes off. We're going to take the probably closest mushroom, wait for the call to take it. Don't take it early, because then it kind of starts to go on like a little expire thing.
Wave that deals lethal damage to any players move onto the mushroom, but you can jump over it using the mushroom, or with blinks, teleports, and leaps. Players move onto the mushroom as the wave approaches, but be careful. Once it spawns, anyone touching it triggers it, and it expires after a few seconds. The order you feed the turtles is mostly preference, but my personal recommendation is Iku, then Nama, then Gebo. Once all 3 are done, the 4th time Murzahi approaches 100 energy, you won't have a fish to stop him, so that's your natural enrage. Lastly, all 3 turtles have a personal enrage that triggers when one of them dies, so you want to kill all 3 at roughly the same time. Iku is by far the worst, since she explodes for massive raid-wide damage that grows with each cast. Nama gains 100% increased damage every second and slowly starts one-shotting people. Gebo starts ping-ponging everyone with each strike, so if you're forced to stagger the kills, Gebo first, Nama second, and Iku last. And that's all for the 3rd boss of the Venomous Abyss.
So try to kill them at the same time, but if not, kill this person last, Iku, and you kill Gebo first. Probably didn't talk too much about the fish mechanic there, but I'll show a couple gifs on it. You're gonna break a box. If you look in this gif here, you'll see a fish gets picked up, and then you just toss it on the player that we call out first, or on the boss we call out first. So that should be Gebo. We're gonna fish first, right? Pretty sure that's what we talked about, Crocker.
Should be Gibbo.
So Gebo into Nama into Iku is our fish order. So if you happen to pick up the fish on normal, that's what you're looking to do. You target Gebo, you feed him. Second fish, we'll call that Nama. Last one, Iku.
And you have to
All right.
do the big cast to interrupt it.
Yeah. Well, that's how you interrupt it, is by feeding the fish to one of these guys. And then it resets his energy. If his energy gets to 100, we wipe. And that's the Morzali guy that we can't target or really have any interaction with besides that mechanic. So definitely know we kind of went over a lot here, but I think we stayed focused on the key bosses that we think we could actually kill. Didn't probably go over this boss too much, so throw a quick little VOD here. Too many VODs for this one. Let me see if we can find one that's not 20-minute Marsh video one. I thought those aren't great. Just watch. This one is one that we think we could probably kill on Mythic
Hey
week
everyone,
1.
Mark
So
from Consequence here. We are going to go over Taipan Grotto quickly, and we actually did raid test it. I wasn't physically there, but the guild did it. So we're gonna have a VOD of that. Now, just to go over some basic things, as always, this is all gonna be in the description, all these raid plans.
you guys have probably ran this boss a few times
Yes.
already. And get the
So
gist
you're
of it.
gonna have a water jet. Again, I think I said this, but this is for Mythic. Heroic is just as less mechanics, so it's just gonna be 10 times easier. But you're gonna have your water jet. This is gonna be a tank funnel that clears the puddles on the ground. I think one of the differences between Mythic and Heroic is the puddles disappear on their own, but keep that in mind. Then you're gonna have your Abyssal Rain, which is a raid-wide AoE, and this can happen while popping orbs, and we'll kind of look at some of the overlaps in the video. And technically, immuning all sets of orbs is the best course of action. Obviously, your comp contending can change that. So you might have to scatter your immunities for the hard sets.
So yeah, easy way to kill this boss. Probably stack immunes.
And then you're gonna Frost
Something to
Barrage.
consider.
3 players will drop 6 orbs. Popping these orbs will deal raid damage again. We're talking about orbs. Now, these are just some tips. So Water Jet, aim at puddles. Abyssal Rain, really good chance for defensive. Frost Barrage, drop these clockwise in a small circle. So this is an animation, so you can see here, they are dropping them in a little circle like this. Alright, so that's how we will do every drop. Now, Water Jet, I'm gonna clear. So you can see the animation like this. Water Jet will clear. Be careful for this DPS. Now, let's look at the video. So in the video, he stacked certain classes and had everyone play Simultauro was killable. Or it was 100% was killable. But you're gonna see here, first off the rip with Lust, you are gonna drop orbs.
What are
This
the orbs
set
he's
is
talking
probably
about?
just really easy
They
just to eat orbs.
Stagger
that
them
are
out
near
as you
you,
drop.
because Lust is rolling. But you can
Kind of
see here,
behind those
there's
orbs,
a
and then
few
they
up,
do a nice little
and the
arc.
water jet is going to clear. And you can see there's a tank out there eating the last ones. I don't really advise tanks doing it that late, but it's possible. So that was the water jet, and that was the orbs. Now the first set we always do in the middle, and then there's going to be ads. So let's head over to the ads. This is where the complexity of like Sporefall kind of comes into play, or Chimeras, where like you need like a certain plan to overcome it, but once you have the plan, it's fine. So there's 5 ad spawns, and the rest of the raid groups here. So you're gonna see raid group, big ad, small ad. All right. And here you can see we're actually like having classes CC the solo ads. So an evoker can landslide, a hunter can frost trap, a druid can root or mass. Other classes can do other things. You could probably banish one. You can probably trap one. You see this, you CC this, you CC this, because you can't let the ads hit the middle. But you want to take the boss to the big clump of ads. All right. So you can see the bond will spawn ads on each of the markers, one small ad on the other 3. Each time this ability repeats, one of the solo becomes a group of 3 smalls. Very important. This is what's making the fight harder and harder and harder. All right. So these ads will just kind of mindlessly walk to the center of the room. Now, do we talk about? So it's not in the raid plan, which is completely fine. But the big ad here, this is going to reduce the damage of everything around it. So, or is it? It might be the other way around. I would double check that in the dungeon journal. I'm actually just drawing a blank. Either the big ad reduces the damage of everything around it, or the small ads reduce the damage of the big ad. I think it's the big ad reduces everything damage around it, so it's like deceivingly a single target check. Kill big ad, everything else gets shredded. I'm like 99% sure it's that. But we'll see in the video here. So ads are out. Big ad's getting nuked. Yeah, see, I am right. Everything else, once the big ad dies, everything gets absolutely shredded. And then the DK, you can see the DK gripped one of the far ads. See this? So that even though it got CC'd, 1 grip, 2 grip, ads in. So we're actually dealing with another one of the small ads here. And now you can see we dropped the water, we dropped the orbs here, and a big clear happened. Now, again, this is a lot of raid.
Oh, look at that. That ad got feared all the way back. That's huge. Little death coil. So, yeah, we'll probably have a plan where we grip like 2 of them here, and then kill these, deal with all the mechanics, and then daughters on the one in the back. Keep it
damage, right? Because
keep it away, kill it.
You have water jet.
Kill the big ads so that the little ads take damage.
Orbs
popping. It's probably a rinse and repeater.
It is quite a lot. Got feared. So like again, DKs are really good at gripping in these 2, but you could have like hard assignments like this hard ban to touch them until you're ready. But in practice, it might just be easier to just.
And then look, it's gonna send out like these little waves. You're gonna see these puddles all around the entire room, and we gotta look for the opening. So we gotta move. We gotta move
until you're ready. But in practice, it might just be easier. This, all right. And what you're gonna see here is you kind of need immunity clears, because when you drop these, like in theory, you could start taking them, and when you have a ton of gear, you could probably like clear it up really quickly. But it's just better to move to the safe spot and then have moving immunities like hunters just kind of clear everything here. So you can see 2 hunters are clearing. The timing is really, really tight. I think you have the turtle kind of early on the first one, and then it will start slowly line up. But this is an ad that got through and turned into a berserker. So yeah, it's just all about quick play. We can look at it one more time.
Yep.
So
be a white point in this boss, if anything, would be right there.
There should one short be coming in via grip. right about now, the boss should be moving to the next set. Once the boss moves to the next set, which is probably this one needs to be gripped or killed, and then the farther one needs to be gripped and or killed. So you kind of need to like think like, what's your comp and how are you going to deal with everything? How are you going to bring everything together? Because you don't want to deal with the ads during this, right? So this is, we need to clear this.
I mean, you could just see how like that comp right there just totally negates that mechanic. That is going to be kind of a white point right there. Killing those ads in time, moving to the safe spot, popping those orbs, clearing it so we're not losing
Now it
room,
just repeats.
space.
Now,
And then it's just a rinse and repeat of that with those overlaps kind of meeting up after this first set. This first set's going to be
big difference
easier.
here. And also note, this right here, see how there's 3 pools here? So they know X is going to have a 3 spawn. That's going to be a 1 spawn, and that's the normal spawn. Alright, so this is what I would deem as bad RNG. So this is the rain, does a ton of damage. So he's setting up here, or he's dead, but in theory he could be setting up here for a trap. But the tanks know that this is where they're going to go. You can see them going over here. And then this 3 spawn, again, needs to be mass rooted, landslide, something. So they're going to kill over here. They're going to CC them, bind, ring, kill. And now they can work on these 2 solos. So they grip one of them in over there. Here comes the other one. All right. So that's like a harder RNG. And now in the 3rd set, and again, waves. So you can see the drops were here. You need to be dynamic. And it looks like a paladin's clearing, or a hunter's clearing them. All right. So it's just easier to have the moving immunity.
Yeah, so each set of this, we're going to have like a plan for it. So when it comes time, for those assignments, just be ready for that. Be ready to take those type of abilities. If your class has, a mass CC, a single CC, obviously grips, knocks, it's definitely going to come down to immunities and DKs in the first week for this fight here. You could already see it. If you want to do a quick kill on it, right? Choose to kill a little bit, and that's kind of always a goal within our guild. Is if we have the comp to make the first kill easier, we're always going to try to play that. So, got to be ready to be thinking of that. Go over this last set here.
All right, and then if we keep going, last set. It's hard to see from this angle. But this was the big set here. There's a 3 set here, and there's a 3 set there. So you can see the mass roots going out. So now you need to make a decision, like which way we're gonna go first, how we're gonna handle them. Do we need a hit squad?
So every time these sets happen, right, more 3 sets spawn along with it. That's what makes this fight harder. So your first one is just the mass set with a single ad on each side. The second set is, a 3 set, and then now you got 2 3 sets, and it just gets chaotic. More chaotic. People are dying, dropping these puddles, base denial, popping them, clearing the, tanks got to be doing a lot of movement here of, oh, where do I got to go? I also got to make sure I position the boss to clear these ice puddles, so it's just going to be kind of like quick thinking and knowing what to do in these scenarios. So. All right. Any last questions here on anything else? Other than that, I think we're good to wrap up. Feel like we, covered the more important bosses a little longer. It's going to make a difference for sure. We're going to have to kind of learn about all tech. If you want, there's a 10-minute video by Marsh you could watch. I'll kind of let people watch that on their own. Once we get a lot of it, have a lot more to actually review. Cool. Well, let's be ready to rock and roll tomorrow. Let's, get in those M pluses, try to get that 2K as fast as you can. Probably majority of us, if you guys are playing Tuesday and Wednesday, I feel like majority of us could get that done Wednesday, especially for the guys who are like taking off work. Those, if you're not kind of part of that selection there, just, be aggressive on reaching out. Hey, I could really use some 10s. We'll try to spread that love between the guilds. So only makes sense for us to do that. Everyone should participate in that. We have the groups kind of already made. I know there's a few people who are signed up not in a group. I could tell you guys right now, if you just get active in the Discord, when servers go live, you will definitely find some players. So These channels have been made with the people in here. Again, if you're not in a group, I could always just kind of throw you into a group. I'll kind of be paying attention to that when servers go live, so don't sweat it. There's people here doing keys right off the bat. We usually have like quite a few signed in. Tons of people in the guild that don't raid at all. That usually do M+ with us because that's kind of what they're here for. So, all right. Well, you guys, I think that's it. Anybody want to say anything here? Last minute stuff by Stika? Got anything to bring up for tomorrow?
Nah, man. I think we got it all.
Sweet. Well, yeah, appreciate everyone, tuning into this. Let's start off the tier kicking some ass. I think we're gonna have one of our best tiers yet. I would love to aim for a US 130, so get her done.
Guild Bank is stocked with healing pots.
Yep, G Bank is stocked.
Don't tell Hall that.
Doink.
30 fucking square, the like goblin figure, like just rustling the bag.